Welcome to Confessions of a Small Biz Mama, episode 15. How negative talk is killing your success. Ooh, doesn't that just sound like, ooh? Yeah, we do this to ourselves. I see this almost every single day as a college professor, and I see it every single day in the business world. You are self-sabotaging your success. Now, maybe it's not all of you, but if this episode title resonated with you, you're probably doing it. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what is self-talk. Okay. That is that endless stream of unspoken thoughts that go through our heads. And it's interesting because this dictates your overall outlook on life, whether it's optimistic or pessimistic. And that has a huge impact on your life, your health, your stress levels, your ability to get done what you need to get done. I did a whole bunch of research on this for this episode, and it was interesting because I'm listening to a book. It's called Small Teaching, and it's all about how to incorporate small lessons into your classes. But the author goes into talking about how once you convince yourself you can't do something, it radically changes your brain's ability to absorb new knowledge in that area. And so it's almost like you're flipping a switch, and your ability to learn in that area stops. And so it is amazing what this, and we'll talk about some of the physical things and some of the psychological things that happen with this, but just from a learning standpoint, once you say, I can't market myself, or I'm not good at math. How many times do we say that in front of our kids? I'm not good at math. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at science. First of all, you're shutting it off for yourself. But then when your child struggles with it, your child goes, oh, well, mommy's not good at that, or daddy's not good at that, so I must not be good at that either. We need to stop this. We need to stop this right now. So let's talk about some of the impacts of positive self-talk, right? And then we'll get into some of the impacts of negative self-talk. But this is unbelievable when you start to look at this research. Positive self-talk leads to increased lifespans, lower rates of depression, lower levels of distress, greater resistance to the common cold, better psychological and physical well-being, better cardiovascular health and reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, and better coping skills during hardships. Hello, hi, what are we doing right now, right? It's really interesting. Your level of coping may have a lot to do with the self-talk that's going through your head. Okay, and this is all of this research that I'm talking about, this is all from the Mayo Clinic. Okay, and if you go to the show notes at smallbizmama.com, you can go through for episode 15. It'll have all of this, all the links to the research that I used for this episode. But think about that, like, how many of you, are struggling with health issues? And, part of that, it becomes a cyclical thing, right? Where maybe you're in a lot of pain, and so you think, oh my God, I'm always going to be in pain. This is a permanent thing and it's only going to get worse. When you start going through that cycle, your physiology is actually going to start to respond to that and go, yep, the pain is worse. So it's interesting because Jeff, my husband, struggles with chronic pain from some injuries in the service, and he just a couple months ago before COVID, it's like BC is that going to become before COVID, so that just kind of went. I'm like, wait, it's okay. So before COVID, he went to this. It was a pain management course at the VA. And a lot of what they talked about was psychology and getting your thoughts under control. Because especially, if any of you suffer from chronic pain or chronic illness, that you can get into these spirals where you just go down, 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 and the pain gets worse and your motivation decreases. And because that's what self-talk can do. And sometimes there is, I'm not dismissing what is happening to you. But what I'm saying, though, is that we can control how we react, right? So some of the impacts of negative self-talk are increased stress levels, gastrointestinal and other digestive issues. And I'll tell you, it's funny because this happened to me. So I think it was about a year and a half ago now. My anxiety levels and my stress levels were through the roof. And I started having really terrible gastrointestinal issues. And it got so bad that I had a panic attack that caused a tachycardia, which is when your heart starts to race. And it actually caused damage to my heart because of stress and anxiety. Now, luckily, I've done a lot of work with my cardiologist. I've done a lot of physical work. I've done a lot of mindset work. And I think I've talked about that a little bit on the show. I know I've talked about it in my lives. I've done a lot of mindset work. I'll tell you, I was that high stress, really negative self-talk person. And I think before I had Eric, I had, kind of done a lot of work on this and I'd gotten a lot of it under control. And then, there's this thing, the mom anxiety, right? And I know a lot of moms that suffer from this. My anxiety just like went through the roof, and I'd never experienced anxiety before. I'd had self-talk issues and I've had stress issues, but I never had anxiety issues before. And it took a lot of work and a lot of talking to doctors. And it's really interesting. It was the first time that I really saw doctors dismissing what I was saying about my health. I guess that's not really true. I had that issue when I had cancer as well. But I think that's just because nobody was thinking cancer at that point. But I'm talking to them and I'm like, I'm having issues with anxiety and I'm having really bad stomach issues. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, take some Prilosec and take some of this and take some of that. And, and it was interesting because, I had all sorts of medical tests and all my medical tests were coming back fine. And I'm like, guys, hi, hello, hi. How do we fix this? And they're like, no, everything looks good. You're fine. And I finally went to a chiropractor who did integrative medicine, and he treated me for adrenal fatigue. And that's when I finally started back on the road to recovery. But it was amazing how, I'd heard stories before, people having issues with getting doctors to believe them. And that was like the first time I'd ever experienced that. So if you're having gastrointestinal issues and everybody says you're fine, it may be the stress that is being caused by anxiety, negative self-talk, depression, and other psychological issues that you might be having. So, don't let a doctor tell you that you're okay. Okay. Don't dismiss what's happening to you. Some other negative issues that can happen: decreased motivation, uh, giving up easily or not trying at all, um, and seeing, increased depression rates, increased illness, having trouble coping. Those are all real side effects of this. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do when you're in that cycle, and how do you get it to stop? So I'm going to give you some thoughts that I found from an article on verywellmind.com. And again, this will be in the link to the show notes. And then I'll kind of also, I've added some other things too that work for me, that they didn't really talk about. So the first thing that you need to do is you just need to recognize that these thoughts are going on. You need to catch your inner critic. And I think it's important to name that inner critic. So a lot of times when I'm talking about mine, I'm like, oh, there's fear again, right? I call mine fear, because typically when I engage in negative self-talk, it's because I'm pushing myself somewhere that I haven't been before, right? So maybe I'm ready to launch a new business, or I'm pushing myself out there marketing wise. I know that a lot of you hate marketing. Thoughts are not always reality. So you might tell yourself, I'm not a good marketer. I'm, not a good business owner. And it may just be that you need to spend some more time with it. When you hear things like that, challenge that negativity and seek out what the truth really is. Okay. Because I think a lot of times we just let it go and we don't challenge it. When I know fear is speaking, fear typically speaks in absolutes, right? I'm never going to get a client. I'm terrible at marketing. It's always going to be this way, right? So if you look at absolutes, fear is very black and white. Negative self-talk is very black and white. And so you need to challenge that negativity and gain some perspective. So look at it and say, no. Look, I have 5 clients, right? I can get another client. I've gotten these 5, right? I can get another one. Or, hey, I'm doing our books and our books look amazing. I'm getting that practice. Or, hey, I passed the QuickBooks certification exam, right? I've got the base knowledge. I can go out there and get clients. But you've got to challenge that perspective. When you're struggling with this, treat yourself like a friend, right? So sit down and say, listen, if my friend came to me with these thoughts, what would I tell my friend? Right? And use that to reframe the thoughts that you're having. And one thing that really, really works for me, and there's tons of research that backs this up too, speak the truth out loud. So when you say, oh, you're terrible at marketing, you can't do that, say it out loud. No, I'm going to practice my marketing. I'm going to get better at marketing, and I'm going to put myself out there. Because that's the truth, right? That's the truth. I mean, think about it. If you sat down, right? So I'm 40 years old and I'm learning how to play the piano. Not as often as I should be, speaking the truth out loud. But that's my fault, right? Because I'm not making the time for it. And so that's something that I need to do. So if I sat there and said, wow, I'm terrible at piano. Well, I wouldn't say I'm terrible at piano. I'm learning piano. I need to practice more, right? But I'm not terrible at piano. I'm pretty impressed with how my fingers can move at the age of 40 with the fact that, I'm just picking this up for the first time. So the truth is, it's not that I'm terrible, it's that I just need to practice, right? If I would have sat down at the piano the first time, right, and moved my fingers across and went, wow, geez, I'm terrible, that's it, I'm done, right? That's not how this works, right? You need to practice. And most things in our life are that way, but the problem is we let this negative self-talk stop us before we get to the point where we can say, you know what? I need to do better. I need to do more, right? I need to keep practicing. I need to keep going. But we let our brain shut us down before we get there. So here's the thing. So, even if you practice all this stuff, do it anyways. If you say you can't market yourself, or you can't do math, or you can't learn to sew, or you can't start a business, or whatever it is, do it anyway. I asked in my group, I'm like, what's stopping you from starting your business or growing your business? And it's like, some people are just like, I can't. I'm like, you can't what? Right? Because if you just have to break it up into pieces, you can do anything. You might not do it at the caliber that you want to do it at, but you can do anything. I might never be an Olympic runner, but I can run, right? It's just do it anyway. Now I feel like I'm having a Ben Folds 5 moment. I might have to link that into the show notes for this. Do it anyway. Okay. We're going to add that in. Cause if you've never heard that song before, it's a great video, and it has Muppets, and who doesn't love Muppets, right? Ben Folds 5, do it anyway. It's funny because, sometimes I'm doing the show and I have an idea and I'm like, oh my God, I got to write that down. I got to put that in the show. So I'll put that in the show notes for episode 15 at smallbizmama.com. And the last thing, if you're not doing this is such a game changer for the direction of your self-talk. If you are not practicing gratitude on a regular basis, try it. I will tell you that for me, practicing gratitude has been so helpful. Because it's much harder to be negative when you're thinking about the things that are going well in your life, right? So when you're telling yourself, I'm so terrible, I'm so awful, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, it's really hard for your brain to go there when you're like, you know what, I got a roof over my head, I've got food on my table, I love my children. They're not perfect, but I love my children, right? I've got money coming in, I'm blessed to live in a time where we have all of this technology. So even if we can't see each other, I can connect with the people I love, right? It doesn't have to be, I think everybody thinks like, I can't practice gratitude until I have the new house and I have the new car and I have all the things and I have the, the business that is replacing my full-time income. And practice the little bits of gratitude right now, right? Just start there. What are the little bits? Because if you do that every single day, and you can work that in, like when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you try to think about is I'm so grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm so grateful that my husband woke up this morning. My son is happy, right? I find that when I practice gratitude first thing in the morning, last thing at night, it just completely changes the way that my day goes. And my days aren't perfect. We run into issues all the time around here. When you're running multiple businesses and, you've got tech issues and you've got people issues, and it happens. But I'm telling you, like, since I've started working on all this stuff and doing all this stuff, My Fitbit tracks like my resting heart rate and my normal heart rate. I'm just so much more relaxed now because I'm thinking about the good things in our life. I'm no longer focusing on, what I wish I could change or what I don't think is going to go right. Just little shifts can make a huge difference. Okay, so let me know what shifts you are making. You can leave comments on smallbizmama.com. You can go to our page. You can join our Facebook group. We have the Small Biz Mama community on Facebook. You can just search for it. If you need some help with this, come engage with us. Okay, because I'd love to be able to help you with that. All right, mamas, thank you so much. And hey, those of you that are subscribing to the podcast, thank you so much. It really helps. If you're listening and you like the show, can you please leave us a rating? So I'm going to tell you, so again, right here's fear coming out. I did not do a good job promoting this show for the first 14 episodes. And now I'm out there, I'm like, you know what? This is a really good show. I'm really happy with this show. I'm really happy with what we're doing here. So we're going to be promoting the show, but I need your help. If you can leave a review of the show, and be honest, okay? Leave a review of the show wherever you're listening, if it's Stitcher or Apple Podcasts or wherever you are. Subscribe and leave a review of the show. That really helps us, because the more reviews we get from people, the podcast platforms they help share out the show more. And so that, like, if there are any shows that you like, including this one, go and review it, because it really helps the show get found. Okay, so thank you, mamas. Thank you so much. You've been reaching out to us, and it makes my heart happy, and it helps with the positive self-talk, right? So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.